Brenda is ground zero on this particular issue that we're dealing with today. She came to City Council and asked for a resolution to be prepared to say that San Clemente does not condone human trafficking. So the event today is also organized by Brenda, among other things. So what's your definition of success with the hotel industry today?
Well, exciting news, exciting success would look like after hearing us today, we get these hotels motivated to go back to their hotel and agree to get their employees, managers, and staff all trained and get enthusiastic and get their awareness built so that they can start making a difference in fighting human trafficking.
And I noticed that in addition to hotel operators, you have a lot of other constituents here. Who are some of the attendees that you've signed in so far?
Well, we have the Department of Homeland Security, who's going to help us develop curriculum for training. We've invited the law enforcement, hoping to create a good partnership between our hotel managers and the law enforcement to know how to report appropriately. We also have Chamber of Commerce, because after we talk to the hotels, we'd love to get other businesses engaged as neighborhood watch at the business level.
And I guess I'd like to ask you, as an everyday citizen, what are some basic things I could do to make a difference on this issue?
Well, the first thing is just acknowledge that it's happening. It's a difficult truth that most people don't even understand is happening, not just in America, but right here in San Clemente in our neighborhood cities. So acknowledging the truth is the first piece, and then not being afraid to step in and make a difference, and then, of course, have the hotline number memorized or in your phone, and that's 888-3737-888, and that's where you'd call if you had a tip or a concern.
Todd, it's really, really wonderful that you've opened up your hotel for this event. You're the Holiday Inn near the Presidio off-ramp, right?
Correct, yes.
And what was it that Brenda told you that made you think this was a good use of your hotel resources?
Oh, well, Brenda called me about a month and a half ago, and she was talking about human trafficking, and I was thinking to myself, well, what are you talking to me about that for? This is San Clemente. And she was explaining how this happens in every hotel, in every community in this country. And her plan was and her idea was to bring all the hotels together so that they could be educated in the fact that to know that it does happen here, to know that it's happening everywhere. And so I said, I think that's a brilliant idea, and so she said, would you be willing to help me get the hotels together? And I said, absolutely, and we'd be happy to donate a space to do that with, and we'd do a continental breakfast, and we'll have a meeting, and we'll get them all together, and I thought it'd be also really neat to just have all the hotel managers in one room anyway. And so we're very excited about this, and I'm very honored to be able to help Brenda with this, with her cause. And you know, one thing that she said to me that made so much sense was that, you know, if we just knew to recognize it and we had a phone number to call, wouldn't that be great? And I said, yes, that would be great, because right now I haven't recognized it, and if I did, I have no idea who to call. And so that's what we're trying to do today, is to be able to generate awareness for the community and for the hoteliers so that if we see it, we can recognize it, and we would have a number to call.
So Kyla, thank you for coming to San Clemente today. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do on behalf of the human trafficking victims up in LA and now in Orange County?
Sure. So I'm the director of the Dream Center's Human Trafficking Program, and we fight to rescue, rebuild, and restore the lives of trafficking victims. And so we have an outreach team that goes out and connects with an average of 100 girls a week that are being trafficked on the streets in Orange County and in Los Angeles. And we are a first response team, so we respond to law enforcement, any individual who contacts us via our hotline number, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, as well as other organizations or an individual who may come in contact with the victim. And then we have an emergency shelter specific to traffic victims where they can go for a couple of days to get rest and food, and really be able to have some time to find out what their options are. These girls have never had the opportunity to make decisions for themselves, and so we want to give them the opportunity to make an informed decision for herself on where she wants to go and what she wants her next steps to be once she is rescued out of the life.
And how could someone like me make a difference, like to make a help somebody that might need help get in touch with you?
Get in touch with us? Well, there's a lot of different ways. We have our own hotline number, so the victims can call us directly via that, but there is a national human trafficking hotline, and we recommend that if you have a tip or have a victim that needs services, that you call the National Human Trafficking Hotline, and you can reach them at 888-373-7888, and they will contact whoever it is in the area that works with victims. So we get victims in from all over the country. So we don't just assist here locally in Los Angeles and Orange County alone. We have a pretty large driving range where we'll actually go and facilitate a rescue ourselves. And then we have girls that are flown into us. The FBI flies them in because we have a very large safe house.
So why are we here? We want, the hotels are in this really unique position to really make a difference. The shift to the brothel is now the hotel room. And that's where most of the appointments are happening. And so you have this opportunity as hotel managers to actually be the eyes and ears, your staff, to really make a difference. I mean, truly, you can be the heroes in this game. A survivor, I heard talk about how being shuttled from one hotel room to another hotel room just said, if anybody at the front desk would just look at me and say, are you okay? When the housekeepers would walk by and keep their head down, if they just looked at me and said, do you need something? She said that she would have had the courage to speak up. So we're going to give them that courage. We're going to give you the strategies and the tools you need to actually know what to do when you see that.
So what is human trafficking? Human trafficking consists of labor trafficking and sex trafficking. Labor trafficking is forced labor services involving force, fraud, or coercion for involuntary servitude, debt bondage, and slavery. So in order for it to be labor trafficking, there has to be some kind of force, fraud, or coercion involved for adults and for minors. For sex trafficking, it's a little bit different. Sex trafficking, there has to be force, fraud, and coercion if it's an adult. If it's a minor under the age of 18, there is no force, fraud, or coercion necessary. So the difference between trafficking and smuggling. This is something that a lot of people get confused. I often hear misconceptions about trafficking being the same exact thing as smuggling. So I'll kind of break it down for you. Let's say my good friend Brenda is a coyote, and she wants to smuggle me across the U.S. or Mexico. She'll say, okay, give me $1,000, I will take you to the U.S., you pay me my $1,000, and you're free to go. Okay? That is considered smuggling. The only contract is for her to get me across the border, and then our contract is done. There's no labor involved, there's no sex involved, there's no force, fraud, or coercion. It's consensual. Now, let's say Brenda's not such a good friend, and she takes me across the border and she says, you know what, that was a little bit more difficult than I thought it was going to be. Now instead of $1,000, you owe me $10,000, and you can pay off your debt by working for me in my restaurant. Now it becomes labor trafficking because she's holding me against my will, she's holding my documents, she's making me pay additional money, and I'm forced to work for her. Supply and demand. Why does trafficking exist? I think that story about the gangs is a really great example. It's all about the money. It's about the profit. And if this is a crime that gangs are willing to work together to make a profit, and they realize that this is that lucrative, then of course they're going to exploit this demand. So here in Orange County, we do use a victim-centered approach. This has worked for us. In the past, the way that we've seen prostitution as a crime is the prostitute has always been the criminal. And now that we've come to understand what human trafficking is, we now realize that most of the girls that are being prostituted are actually trafficking victims. And then just to give you a few more visuals to see kind of where our victims are coming from. So this is a map of California, and you can see they come from all over the place. And then international trafficking, you'll see they come from all throughout the country, and they end up here in Orange County. So we truly are here in Orange County a destination city or destination county. Okay, so the perpetrators. These are not just your average Joes who are looking to make a few bucks. These are hardened criminals. They often have prior serious or violent priors. They often have arrests for similar offenses. They're usually out of the county because they're traveling throughout that track, and we have now seen an increase in gang members. Oftentimes, victims don't identify as victims. They don't realize, they might not even know what human trafficking is. They might not know that what they're doing, it falls into sex trafficking. Or they blame themselves for their situation. You know, I love this guy, he took care of me, and now I have to do whatever he wants because I owe him, right? Or I love him, I want to be here. It might also be a defense mechanism, convincing themselves that they want to be there so that they don't feel as badly about being in that situation. So with our victims, these are some of the vulnerabilities we'll see. Very, very often, we will see some type of history of abuse, whether it's physical, sexual, mental, there is that abuse in place. And really, what we're seeing is that there are certain push and pull factors that are pushing them away from their homes. Most of our victims are runaways, and they're trying to get away from something, right? Or they're runaways or throwaways that their parents don't want. So when we work with victims, our main objective is to get them from in crisis to thriving. And our main goal is to alleviate the trauma that they faced, address whatever needs they might have, develop self-sufficiency, and prevent future victimization. I'm going to finish on this note. This is our National Human Trafficking Hotline. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, completely anonymous. Their lines are always open. They have multiple languages for translations. You can call in if you have any tips. You can call in if you need resources, if you have any questions, if you want to provide resources. Then the trafficking hotline is a great resource for you. Obviously, if it's an emergency, we want you to call 911 or your local police department.
I was told that there probably isn't a single hotel in the whole Orange County that hasn't had some human trafficking going on. No matter how expensive the hotel or how inexpensive the hotel, it's happening everywhere.
What is the most compelling aspect of human trafficking? Why are you here?
Well, I'm an advocate for children, and children are abused in human trafficking. It's the worst kind of abuse, and so that's why I'm interested in it.
So I'm here with Jim Shylander from the San Clemente Times. And Jim, in an issue like this, human trafficking, what role do you think the media can play in correcting or addressing the issue?
The biggest thing, Lori, I think, is to make people aware there is an issue. I think people assume here in South Orange County that this is something that's far away, something that happens. And if it does happen in Orange County, it might happen somewhere in North County where there's maybe more immigrant communities, things like that. Just letting people know that this is happening. And that's really the biggest role we can play.